Of course, take us back, first of all, to where this all began. Awful tragedy happening in the capital here in 2017.
Yeah, that's right. It's hard to believe that it was 4.5 years ago when the Grenfell Tower fire disaster happened, killing the lives of 72 people back in June of 2017. Now, of course, this on its own was a really horrific tragedy. But on top of that, what it did was expose a massive housing scandal across the country. And that was that there was flammable cladding and other fire safety defects which were found in tens of thousands of blocks across the country. Now, the government has promised to remove the cladding from those top high-rise buildings, but up until now the cost went to leaseholders for people who were living in flats that were between sort of 11 metres and 18 metres. The cost fell on them, and the problem with removing this cladding is it costs billions and billions of pounds, and the problem is obviously nobody really wants to pay it. Now, hundreds of thousands of people are still living in these blocks, and I think that's what's really crucial to say, and they're of course paying huge service charges. Their insurance premiums have gone up, they're unable to remortgage or sell their properties, they're having to pay for fire wardens 24/7 to patrol outside their buildings in case their building catches on fire. I mean, you know, this psychological toll that takes on people as well as the financial one is really significant. So I think there will be many people today who will be delighted by this news.
OK, and we're expecting a big announcement this morning from Michael Gove that will benefit leaseholders specifically.
Yeah, that's right. So Michael Gove, the Housing Secretary, he's got a team of forensic accountants together, and effectively they're going to be tracking down developers who are responsible for these fire risk buildings, really. And he's going to attempt to get £4 billion from these developers. So crucially, the money to remove this cladding will be coming from these developers and not from the leaseholders. But he's also going to be announcing changes to make it easier for people to sell their properties if they're sort of stuck in this type of accommodation. And he's also promised that he'll be sort of sitting down with developers and encouraging them, and I quote, to do the right thing by getting involved with this scheme. But if he says that if no solution is reached, then he'll promise to bring in a solution in law.
So, Alice, does this bring the problem to an end, the impasse that people have had not being able to shift their properties? The developers really have to play ball, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And the question is, are they going to play ball? I mean, this is just a sort of voluntary basis sort of initially. I mean, it's all very well Michael Gove sort of saying, you know, wanting people to do the right thing. Well, a lot of developers haven't done the right thing up until now. And it's all very well saying that the solution may be brought in law. But that could take years of wranglings in courts, and it's already been 4.5 years. So it will be interesting to see what happens with developers if they don't play ball on this. And in terms of who this is going to help, this is really good news if you are in an apartment block where it's only cladding is the issue. The problem is this new measures today, they don't address all the other fire safety issues such as sort of fire doors, etc. And that's a really big part of the problem. Cladding often gets this sort of the main headline, but actually there are lots of other sort of fire safety issues, and that's not being addressed today. And of course, people who have been living in these flats, who have been paying so many charges, they're not going to be reimbursed for that. So it's for those people, they're not waking up today and it's a completely new world. They've also been through so much financially, and it is important to stress that whilst the developers, there are lots of questions that do need to be asked about the way that they have acted and the buildings that have been put together, but at the same time I think a lot of critics have said this is partly due to successive governments deregulating the industry, and there are some questions to be asked in regards to that. But look, this is an important step, and this will be some good news for many people across the country, but there's still a long way to go for many people who have had more than 4.5 years of absolute hell.